the Sondors Metacycle, Sondors' attempt at an affordable, easy-to-ride, and fun electric motorcycle. This dream seems to now have been crushed as the Metacycle site was taken down late in 2023 and there is no information as to when, if it ever will come back. More on that later. My name is Oscar. I was one of the first 1,000 buyers of the Metacycle, and I'll share my experience owning this bike for the past year. The first ad I saw on Facebook drew my attention to this bike. The price for the specs given seemed like a pretty decent deal. So, after looking up the company and making sure I wasn't clicking on a scam, I made the decision to pre-order my bike. This was at the beginning of 2021. Fast forward to the end of 2022, yes, that's almost 2 years, I had my Metacycle. Before going any further, let me share some of the specs the Metacycle website listed. I will put the link in the description, but again, the site has been taken down. Starting off with the battery. The site listed a 4 kilowatt battery. This was paired with an 8 kilowatt motor to provide 80 pound-feet of torque, speeds up to 80 miles per hour in sport mode, and 60 miles per hour in drive mode. Range was initially listed as high as 80 miles under ideal conditions, along with a more conservative, real-world range of 60 miles. I've had the bike for over a year now, but I do live in Oregon, so the weather has permitted me to ride for only about 5 to 6 months since I got the bike. I have mainly ridden this bike as a daily commuter, and my commute consists of 18 miles per day. My ride consists of mostly flat terrain, and the speeds are mostly at 35 to 45 miles per hour zones, with about 3 miles of highway speeds, which in my case is 55 miles per hour. That being said, here's how the listed specs measure up. I have to charge the bike every other day. To put it in more precise terms, I consume about 70% of battery in 2 days of commute. To save you from doing the math, that's 18 miles times 2 trips equals 36 miles for slightly more than 70% of battery. Extrapolating from that, I get slightly less than 50 miles to a full charge. That's a little short of the 60 miles Sondors claims on its website. And as for the 80 miles under ideal conditions, that must be downhill or the bike getting pushed or pulled, because I just don't see how the bike can go that distance on a full charge. Now, I mentioned I'd get about 50 miles to a full charge. However, I don't know about you, but I would not ride if I didn't know I would end up with at least 5 to 10% of battery left at the end of my ride. The fear of running out of battery potentially miles away from my final destination just doesn't quite sit right with me. So the practical range, for me at least, would be 40 to 45 miles. I would have guessed my commute is as ideal as it gets. Again, it's mostly flat, speeds of 35 to 45 miles an hour. Now, under cold conditions, the range is even a little bit worse. Practicality aside, let me share a bit of how the bike feels. The bike is fairly light, about 300 pounds, and with a low center of gravity, it seems nimble and very easy to ride. It does feel a little slow. It is a fantastic first bike, which would be great to new riders. The bike is fully automatic, it is a rear hub motor, and there are no gears to shift through. So you just have to turn the handle and off you go. The brakes are a lot like on a bicycle as well. You have your front and rear brakes on the handlebar. Again, I think this is a great bike for new riders to get comfortable getting on the open road and more intimately sharing the road with cars. This bike is perhaps not for someone who already owns a motorcycle. As I mentioned previously, the bike does feel a little slow, with a fairly low acceleration and low power. I think most bike owners enjoy the feeling of the extra power under the seat, ready at a moment's notice. This bike is still fun, but just not as powerful to satisfy the cravings most other motorcycles would offer. Now, when at highway speeds, the 60 mile per hour limit is a bit of a problem. When trying to pass or avoid potential hazards, you sometimes need that extra power. Even though the bike has the capability to go up to 80 miles per hour, it only does it after activating a switch, and it only does it for about 2 minutes. This could leave you in a rather dangerous situation at highway speeds if you're trying to avoid collisions or obstacles. Does it get you on the highway? Sure. Is it safe to do so? Not in my opinion. I would not be very comfortable riding this on the highway for very long periods of time. The couple of times I have taken this bike on longer stretches of 50 miles per hour zones, everyone was passing me and I had the accelerator to the max. You have to have the extra power for emergencies. The Metacycle just doesn't have that. Now, on to the real bad thing about this bike, the seat. This seat is the most uncomfortable seat I probably have ever been on. The seat actually has relatively decent padding, but the shape and angle at which it comes in contact with your booty, it wedges up until it can no more. You really don't have to worry about the battery range, because before having to worry about the range, your anus will plead for mercy from this horrendously bad seat. Saying it's uncomfortable is an understatement. Sondors must not have done any kind of testing at all on this seat, or they did it too late to make any changes. The seat becomes uncomfortable after about 5 minutes of riding. After about 25 minutes, it's just unbearable. I actually removed the old seat on my bike and made my own. With all that said, would I buy it again? I think so. For $5,000, it's a nice thing or toy to have. Although, the last time the site was available, the price had gone up to over $6,000. It does serve as a decent commuter for shorter commutes or shorter rides. Again, the seat being more of a problem than the actual range. But the seat can be removed, and so you can add your custom, way more comfortable seat. Anything will be more comfortable than the original seat. Looks are subjective, but overall, I consider it to have a sleek, minimalistic, futuristic look. It is on the smaller side, but I still think it looks great. The frame is a single-piece aluminum cast, so there are no visible weld joints. Overall, I'm fairly happy with my purchase, and I will continue riding until the wheels fall off, hopefully not while I'm riding. I do hope Sondors makes a comeback with this bike, fixes the seat issue, and perhaps does something to live up to the initial spec claims. Again, as of the publishing of this video, this bike is no longer available for sale from the Sondors website. Various articles online have different things to say about it. I'll let you look up the specifics. I did have to wait almost 2 years for my bike to arrive, and while I do understand the difficulties of starting up a new product, obviously something failed along the way, which caused Sondors to stop producing the Metacycle. Perhaps they bid more than they could chew, or perhaps the economics didn't quite work out. Either way, hopefully the Metacycle is not completely dead, and it's able to see the light of day once again. There are other options entering the market as well. A simple Google search brings up a number of electric motorcycles, all within $6,000 to $10,000. So I think there will be other options available here pretty soon. In the meantime, I'm happy I got my Metacycle. I'll be working on upgrading my seat once again and continue to enjoy it until it dies. Until then, happy riding!